And now for our regularly scheduled program. Check this out. Yeah. All right, we got sound. Welcome. Shout out to those that are watching it live, and especially those that are watching the playback. I appreciate you guys as always. I really do mean that. I get a lot of views afterward, and I hope the things that I'm sharing with you guys, the projects that I'm doing are they're actually beneficial for you, and they're beneficial for you, and you guys actually get some type of use out of them in some way, shape, or form. Because it's one thing to do these things, and just talk, but it's another thing when you're talking and it actually helps you all. So I am here for you, and I hope this does help in some way, shape, or form. All right, so we got our little picture here today. This one's kind of like a mishmash of a couple things. You can kind of tell like it's a whole bunch of different pieces put together. It looks like it doesn't look like it's really drawn or anything like that. But it's the lighting and everything is done together, put together pretty nicely. In fact, let's check it out and see if I am kind of sort of right. I don't know how this guy did that. Oh. New piece. Project T13S, rest of the year backstory after Chaos War against the Mecha Nation. The Mecha Nation. Slums grew up pretty fast on Earth as food and water became rare. Some NGOs help the poorest and try to contain diseases. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I look at this and I'm like, how did you make this? This does not look like yeah, I don't know what this is. Like, this is like pictures taken together. That's kind of cool. Or taken and put together. Kind of cool. All right. To our piece of work, our piece of art. This is our canvas. HTML is the paint. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are the paint, colors, hues in which we use to make our own art. Yeah, you like that? I thought that was fairly poetic. Sheed, we here, man. I appreciate you, brother, for showing up, man. I saw that you're catching the playback of the last stream. I hope I wasn't too incoherent. I just, it was a long week, and I didn't get that much rest. But last night I did get some good rest, so that was very welcome. But hey, man, welcome to the stream, man. I appreciate you showing up, brother. If there's anything I can help you out with, anything that you want to talk about, let me know. But we're going to get into it here. Let me go ahead and log into the VM. All right. So what we're going to do on this one, what we're going to do here today, we're going to reactivate the education portion of the page. Actually, before that, we're going to... Before that, we are going to go ahead and one thing I didn't like, but the About Me page. So this is nice, right? You have all your coding competencies and everything like that. But the hourly pricing, I want to go ahead and allow that to be turned on or off by the config file. So that can be... Oh, man. Sheed, man, I really appreciate you guys. You shout me out, man. I really do appreciate that, man. Thanks. I'm trying to make the channel grow in one way, shape, or form. I don't do crazy, some of the other stuff that we see in the manosphere. I do that. I do my dirt, so to speak, on other people's channels, but I don't really go into it too much on my channel. So, it's not always the things that people want to watch in our space. But I hope it does help our brothers in some way, shape, or form. Swerve, fly that grizzly. Well, go on, Swerve. Brother, I hope everything's good with you, man. Not sure who this is. I'm not sure at all, but we'll see. But hey man, thank you for joining in and you know, giving the stream a couple eyeballs here. Grizzly. Yeah, so what we're gonna do on this one here, we're going to go in our resume file, and what I want to do with resume pricing, I want to do. Oh crap! All right. Geez. Looks like stuff is off here. All right, maybe that'll help. All right, cool. All right, so we have our resume pricing div here. Shows all our pricing and everything like that. We can fill that out in terms of, you know, item 1 and item 2, so on and so forth, right? So then if I refresh this page here, once we, you know, we put everything in this config file, we could separate this config file if we ever needed to, and it did not show it. So let's do a Control F5. Sometimes when you're doing this type of work, it'll cache certain items or certain things, I should say. So your JavaScript and things like that. One thing you want to do is learn about, you know, flushing the cache. And you can do that manually by going in your history, but you can do that per page by pressing Control F5. And I think on Mac, it's like Command F5 or something like that. And it should do the same thing. But yeah, we can see here that I have all my different items. Now, I don't really like the spacing of my items, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. But we can add all that stuff back. The thing I don't like, again, is that, okay, this is a resume, right? And, you know, resume, you're not going to have pricing on it. Now, my resume, I would have pricing for my freelance coding and stuff like that, right? So let's do this. And we could do stuff based off of like the URL that actually shows based on the URL, but I want to make this to where anybody can use it. So we want to do, let's add another option here to our JSON object, and we're going to call this resume pricing. We're going to say status, all right, and then we're going to do like on, right, or we're going to do off. So if resume pricing status, oh no, actually let's do this. Call it state. There we go. So resume pricing state, we're going to change that to off. Now we're just going to do an if conditional here, just so we can actually put this in the, so we can make our resume, our hourly pricing show up or not show up. Now, one thing we're going to have to do is actually change our HTML. The way I'm going to actually put this in place is by, so this is clients, right here. All right, so where facts, fun facts, I think this is. Oh, here we go. Yeah, sorry. Forgot how short this is because we're doing a whole bunch of hydration and for our divs and everything like that. So with doing the hydration for the div, all we really need is a placeholder div or a div with a placeholder. So we just do pricing and then go from there. But what we'll do in this case is this should be one whole thing. Hourly pricing. All right, so we'll wrap this whole thing in a div, and we'll make this a little bit prettier. So we'll do div ID, and then equals, and then we'll do resume. And we're going to do this ID as opposed to class like we've been doing in other areas. We're going to do this as an ID as opposed to a class like we've been doing in other areas, because we're just going to be targeting just this div. We don't have to do this in multiple places or anything else like that. So we're going to give it the same name. And from there, let's go ahead and make this, get all our indents right here. Pricing, end of pricing. So we're gonna get our end div tag here, get that looking good. So now we got this enclosed in a div. Now we can start writing code to actually control it. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this. Now, depending on what you're using, like what type of CSS you're using, we can use Bootstrap. And if we use Bootstrap CSS or the Bootstrap CSS library file, CSS file, what have you, with Bootstrap, you can do things like d-none. That's the same thing. We use Bootstrap to get all of our grid like settings for CSS, or grid or flex boxes. I forgot which one it is, but I think it's grid. That's grid CSS. But we have our rows, our call, XS, all that stuff is mainly grid, is mainly Bootstrap CSS, or you can get in the Bootstrap CSS library. Now it could be mixed in with other people's CSS, as you know, people take that project and then incorporate it or integrate it into their own project. But we'll just know, or in a sense, I just know that that's usually something that you see in Bootstrap CSS. The reason why I say that is I can do a style. Because they usually have a special class, so d-none, or I can do a style equals, and the style is going to be cross-platform, if you will, or it'll work. It should render properly, or it should render without using Bootstrap CSS or not. And sometimes style is a little bit easier to write. So we'll probably use style though. So display, and then I'm gonna choose none, and go from there. So its default will be none. Now, if I wanted to, I can actually just use a class to actually do the same thing. But in this case, I'm just gonna use a style. All right, so that will not show up now. That's done in our HTML. All right, so that's all gone. But we want to control this because we want to actually have this to where if I change the state to on, then it will actually show up. So this is just something I want to do for you guys. If anybody ever uses something like this for their resume, they can, you know, what's it called? They can go ahead and use this, and then they can turn that section on or off if they wanted to. So we're going to do this in our fill resume function. And we are going to get we got our pricing div, right? So in this case, I'm actually going to take out that pricing div at the top right there. So pricing div state. And then we're going to get this resume pricing state, all right? And then pricing div state, and I don't want this here because I feel that it's quote unquote inefficient. It's probably really not that bad in terms of taking up processing power or anything like that. But I don't want it to be where I have I don't want it to be where I have this I don't want it to process this information if we're not going to use it. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter at that point. So we have pricing div. Actually, let's go ahead and make this. Oh, guys, let me know if you guys can't read the text on the screen or anything like that, and then I'll increase it. But I try to always remember that because I know how it is to like watch a video and like the text sucks in terms of like it not being zoomed in. So I hope this helps a little bit. All right, so resume pricing, right? So we did this here. This is our code for that, and I don't want to run that code. Unless if we'll do an if conditional here. We'll just do our indent here. Yeah, and if and then if so this should be object. So the object we're going to be, so we pass this function on an object, and that object is our config object. but within the function, it's known as obj or object. And then we'll look at the state, which is resume pricing state. And then if it equals, double equals, not triple, because triple equal will match, will not only compare it, but it will also match the, what's it called again? It'll also match the type. Richard Dixon, what's up, brother? Appreciate you showing up to the stream. Kind of on time tonight. Yay, didn't oversleep. I got quite a bit of work I still have to do after this. I got a lot of laundry and all types of stuff I got to clean up. I got a push lawnmower today, so I got to put that sucker together after this stream here. But guys, I appreciate you guys showing up, man. I try to make sure I get to these streams because I think somebody thinks this stuff is important, and I want to make sure those that think this is important, I satisfy you guys in terms of like giving you the content that will help you in some way, shape, or form. All right, so resume pricing state, if it equals on, like pretty much on or off, right? Then we will go from there. So conditional. So we'll conditional based off config object property a pricing state which can be on or off. All right, cool. So, all right, cool. All right, I think that will be good, or that should suffice. So what we're going to do is resume pricing state on, and then we'll go ahead and run this. And then when it's on like that, we'll go ahead and actually put this div in here, or we'll actually, start looking at the pricing div and putting information into it. Otherwise, we don't even want to try and get that value so we can inspect it. And that can always change later on if we ever need to, but I just don't feel like actually having it run useless, unnecessary code if the feature is not even, or if the information is not even being validated. So if pricing state on, and then what we also want to do is we're going to pricing div state. Okay. Pricing div state, we're actually going to do style dot display, and we're going to do that equals, that will equal, that should equal block. All right. So if we do have it on, it'll equal block. If it's off, then it will go ahead. It won't show up at all. So let's get that out of there. And since we already have it defined earlier on in this function, locally within this function, then we can go ahead and access it and then start changing it and transforming it how we see fit. So style.display equals block in this case. And single equals because we're actually setting that variable or setting that property or what have you. All right, cool. So we should be block and then on. And let's see here. Want to make sure. So resume pricing state, we're going to have that set back to off real quick. And also while that's happening, let's look at our source code here, or our console here. All right, F5. Cool, changes our colors and everything like that. Remember we had that earlier on, or we went over that earlier on, where we actually changed the color of the whole entire thing here, the entire template or resume on each reload. So it does not show, which is great. I see no errors whatsoever. Let's bring that back up and let's go ahead and switch that to on. And let's see how this looks. We'll do a control F5. So it doesn't download any cached information. And then we have our hourly pricing and everything is there. So that way we can control, like, whether this is a resume for maybe freelance work, or a resume for actually getting a job. So with freelance work, you're not going to be doing, your hourly pricing like I explained earlier. But that's just something that I saw, and I was just like, oh yeah, we should probably change that. They should get rid of that. What I'll probably do. No, I'll keep that. I'll keep it down there. I'll keep that down there. I was thinking about moving that up. Because even with your config files, some of the things that you want to configure, you probably want to have like some of those on and off states and things like that. You want to have that at the top as opposed to having it closer to the bottom or something like that. So yeah, we got that done. That's feature complete. We can move on. One thing, we have our clients, and I don't want that per se. I mean, I don't want that at all. In my case, I think it would be nice. So let's do the same thing. Actually, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I really want to do this. I'll probably take this out. I'll leave this. If you guys ever wanted to use it, I don't plan on using it, like having all my clients posted out there, because, it's good to show clients. It's really good because then people can see the names. But oftentimes you'll find that nobody really knows who your clients are. They'll look them up or something like that, and they barely will call them or anything like that. But also, you don't want to put your clients out there and their business out there as well, depending on the type of coding that you're doing. Because it's like, oh yeah, I work for the CIA. I don't know if the CIA might like that, But it is also good to actually have a little carousel with all your clients and everything like that. On comments, if you see fit. All right, so we'll just put in what's it called, an HTML comment in there. In this case, I mean, if we wanted to, I can see how that looks. So just to show you guys, D none and display none important. So that's how it looks here with the clients. In this case, like you have all your clients here, and you can go side by side and things like that. I guess this would be a good place where you can just fake it till you make it and be like, oh yeah, the Golden Grid, Sweetie, Magic Furnitures, Lifeguard, Design Lovers, less WordPress, all my customers. But yeah, we're gonna take that out. And the same thing, even with this section here, the what I do section. I don't think I'm gonna fill this in. I went ahead and just went forward with coding competencies in my case. I think I pronounced that right tonight. Sweet. But yeah, went ahead with coding competencies instead and got rid of this and got rid of fun facts as well. Because it's just like, for me, I don't really need fun facts, and I don't want to fill out all this stuff. Because you also have to think about, people read how many resumes per day. And even though yours may look interesting, you're one of many that might have actually done it like this. But even with that, okay, you're interesting. Your resume is interesting. You present it in a nice way. You have really nice colors, blah, blah, blah. But then also we have to look at things like, okay, you're one of many, so they have to go through all this, all these fun facts and all this other stuff. That might impress people that are not coding savvy, tech savvy, or what have you. But it doesn't impress a person that really knows it. This is kind of like all fluff. This is filler. This is kind of like filler in terms of what you see with, anime series or something like that. They get those filler episodes that annoy the living crap out of you, or like freaking One Piece. I think people that watch One Piece are weirdos. So if you guys watch One Piece, I'm saying this openly, you guys are freaking weirdos. I really do not know how you can actually watch an anime where the first 3.5 minutes is a recap of the previous anime every single episode. How, Sway? How? I just can't do it. I actually called that. I said that to a woman, to her face. I called her a weirdo because she watched One Piece. I mean, she was still cordial after the fact, but I don't think she liked it. Anyways, so fun facts. It's like, this is just filler. It's just not necessary unless you can do something with this where you can actually make it to where it is informative in some way, shape, or form. kind of like, instead of me doing testimonials, I did coding competencies. So this is the testimonials block, but now I just have all the coding competencies instead. So that's one thing. Also, I see that, you know, I'm getting stuff chopped off here, so let's try and fix that. That's kind of annoying me. And it works, you know, once I like go to the next item, it'll resize. But let's see if we can get this fixed. On stage with transform height 269 pixels. Well, let's make that 300. Let's make that, this is Sparta. Okay, so 300 pixels does it. Now, this is on the, looks like it's on the element itself. So that was 269 pixels. Let's go ahead and put this comment back here. Or put these comments in here, I should say. And pricing, and then the fun facts here. All right. And then we'll search the document for 269, and we can't find it anywhere. What was that? Was that? Yeah, it's an element style. I don't know. I guess this is probably pushed later on. This might be done through JavaScript for this OWL thing here, or this OWL library. So for OWL stage, it might just put it in itself. So OWL stage outer. So sometimes you'll get that, right? Like where if I look through my CS or I look through my HTML or anything else, it won't show this right here, but somehow this is getting injected into the page. And that's most likely like JavaScript or something. So we'll do the OWL outer. Still not found. Competencies. Okay, cool. Let me just, I think that was above. Yeah. Coding competencies. Testimonials, okay. OWL carousel. I guess you could put this in. Now with the OWL, I don't know if I have to go, what's it called? Let's see. I haven't had time to get into all the modern anime, watched a few here and there. I am nostalgic for the 80s and 90s anime. Never get tired of the classics, no matter how many times I watch them. Yeah, I feel that way about things like Cowboy Bebop, the ones that were iconic in their styling and even the writing. You know, even Dragon Ball was actually cool. You know, if you go back and watch that, I do like the modern anime, but some of the modern anime, there is filler. One of the ones that is actually like a breakout hit and actually has really good story to it, even with the filler, but it's really not too much filler. It's usually a good build up, would be My Hero Academia, which is really nice. Another one is Black Clover, but that has a ton of filler episodes and it has long build up episodes too, but you still get excited when you see the character win. So, or the main character win, Asta and Yuno. So that's really cool, and how that story is also unfolding. But that's another anime where they do drag the story out across multiple episodes. You know, and you mentioned here, was watching Ghost in the Shell and Violence Jack a few weeks ago. I've never seen Violence Jack. I've never heard of that before. Ghost in the Shell, super iconic. I can go back and watch that multiple times. I cannot watch the live action movie. I was not impressed with it, and it was just like it struck me as very odd, and I did not like the way that looked, especially like the first scene, the geisha scene, and then also, you know, like freaking Motoko, you know, the main character. She's not like some white chick with blonde hair. Like, no matter how many bodies you can switch and you could write that in and make it work, hell no. Please get an Asian lady with some black hair and do the part properly, man. Like, the live action can really suck huevos. So yeah, that I was not impressed with the live action movie on Ghost in the Shell, but the Ghost in the Shell, the more recent ones that were on, Netflix were pretty good. I was actually impressed with those. Those were actually really good and well written, and actually freaked me out for a little bit too. Yeah, but I feel you on watching the older anime and stuff. So this right here, this is injected. So our carousel, this does stuff. We can put in our own style, but we'll see what happens because sometimes with JavaScript, exactly, Richard. I still haven't watched the live action. That shit was blasphemy. Thank you, freaking. Yeah, it's like, bro, not trying to be racist with that. It's just like, yo, that does not work. That does not. I looked at it, I was just like, no. Mm-mm. Even like live action Dragon Ball, the live action Dragon Ball movie, still have not watched. Have no plans of ever watching that piece of garbage. And I heard about it and it was like, oh, okay, all right, but I would never watch that, man. Now, when you have the great works and all the moves and everything that can actually be done on screen or animated properly, and that franchise has money backing it, so they can really animate some really cool stuff. The video game is actually pretty cool too. The new fighting game that's a part of the FGC, or yeah, FGC. So yeah, the part of the FGC that's really good, and like watching. I think it was a Sonic Fox, watching him play that, and a couple others. I only really know Sonic Fox. Sonic Fox is cool on freaking Mortal Kombat as well. It'd be funny if like Ed played Sonic Fox and get his reaction and him getting annoyed while he's getting his ass mixed by freaking Sonic Fox and Joker. That'd be sick. Or Sonic Fox's Joker. That'd be hilarious. All right, so we'll do style and we'll do height, and we will do 300 dx, and we'll actually make this important. Dante. So we'll make this important and see what happens. All right, so all this stuff will disappear. Yeah, so, and then even with that, right, we can see that, there we go. So it overwrote our style and got rid of it. Actually, no, it didn't overwrite our style. Testimonials, outer. Oh, so it writes a whole new one. It still has our style here for 300, right? 300 pixels. But this one is the inner style. And I'm not sure how it calculates that. I really do not know. I would have to look at owl stage, outer. And it does all of this. I'll nav. I would have to actually look at the JavaScript. So let's explore that real quick. But we'll get rid of this because it doesn't do anything. Still here. And then server. And then I don't know what that is. Okay, it's our carousel. And I doubt it's actually static. So even if we look at this, let's go ahead and look at this in the inspect tool or the dev tools. And we'll go to CSS, our carousel, and expand. And then also right here, these curly braces, you can format it so that it'll actually be, what's it called? You'll format it so it can actually be human readable. So it'll pretty much inject all the spacing and everything like that, so we can inspect it a little bit better instead of me having to like download the non-minified version or anything like that or search through it, because I have a feeling that I'm going to search through this and I'm not going to find 269 pixels. I think it calculates that on the fly. Yeah, that's what I thought. So that is done through. We see that shown as owl stage outer, owl height. There we go. So in this case, shoot, I closed the window. Open it back up. Sources, CSS. No, it's JS. Wait, no, we were looking at our. Oh, okay, so owl stage outer. So we were looking in the wrong file anyway, but let me see if I can. Okay, outer stage outer. So position relative, overflow is hidden, translated 3D or translate 3D. I've never seen that before. That actual property. So I have to actually look that up. But outer stage outer doesn't have what we need here. So it's usually in the JavaScript, as I was thinking in the first place, but I was just looking in the wrong place. So outer stage outer, so that's stage outer class. But we'll search for outer stage outer. There's only one, so stage outer class is probably what's being used within this file. And this is because mainly because in terms of camel case you can't have dashes in the actual variable name. So, or even in the JSON property name, you can't have camel case. So like no dashes or anything else like that. So in this case, yeah. All right, this setting, div class, and then this stage outer class settings. Now, where do we, I doubt, again, 269 pixels will be in there. No. So this is some type of calculation that's done. And I could do it one of two ways, right? Instead of like going through all of this and changing their actual code, I can actually write code that just changes it for me and changes that to 300 pixels or something like that, or some arbitrary number, like padding it a little bit more, or finding the calculation that it does so it actually pads it for us here. So outer, and then actually let's go for the word height and look for that. So it's core settings, auto height. Huh. I've never seen this syntax, not one, or exclamation point one. That's a little bit new to me. So our height, we know that the height is applied via CSS. So we could even look for something like a style.height. But we got 22 matches here. So does it highlight the rest of them? Okay, not the way I thought it would. All right, cool. Let's move through it. Push height, core. Height, add class this, core settings, auto height class, video height, okay, data height, height F, type CD. Yeah, here we go. So this might be, this is prototype that thumbnail. Oof, so style with height, and we can see how that's written there. As I was saying earlier, like we would look for a style.height. So that would be wrong in this case, but it does reference the height variable there, or height property, style property. So we only got 4 of those, so that might all be in one. Height F. It always mentions setting. And again, we can always just look at the documentation for this, but where it says like c.height, right? Where's the c coming from? So c is passed into the function. Prototype thumbnail. No. Defaults. You can also look for auto height as well. So auto height. So core dot this underscore core dot settings dot auto height. So we only have 7 to search for in this. height 1, auto class, auto height class. I don't see it. I don't see where I can do this. And it's most likely I'm searching in the wrong place for this type of stuff, but I don't see where I can do this. So what I can do is, let's see here. We'll just write our own JavaScript and push this. However, so what we can do, how does it do this? So like, why does it choose, or why does it figure it's going to be 269 pixels? Why does that make sense to it? What if I do height auto? Okay, so that, I'm sorry, I didn't see the change here. I didn't witness it, so I'm going to do height auto. Right, so the reason why I want to do height auto in this case is because I won't know the height. For instance, you guys put in some long blurb or something like that for your resume, and it has all this information here, and it's really long, and then I don't account for that. Like I mean, it works for my resume, that's fine, but then it constrains you and the characters that you would put in, or the amount of characters that you would put in. So in this case, I will look for, this would be good to look at child properties. Yeah, so this would be a good time to look at child properties and how to like actually access child properties through JavaScript. So let's go ahead and do that now. Resume, and then we'll do resume competencies. The competencies div. Let's do after this. So JavaScript, client-side JavaScript is synchronous, or it runs it one after the next. It's asynchronous, but it runs it one after. No, shoot, how do you say that? How can it be synchronous and asynchronous at the same time? It runs everything one after the other, and you do have await available, async await, I believe, available. But yeah, that is available. But with this, it'll run after it's done this for each loop. It'll go through and go to the next thing. No, that's totally wrong. The for each, it'll run that, and then while it's running that, it'll go to the next thing. So with that being said, even with that being done, what we can do is at the end of our for each, we can actually have it like when it reaches the last thing, one after another is async. Okay, well, hold on. One after another is synchronous. Async is not blocking. Right, so it's non-blocking, but I think the client-side JavaScript, it'll finish whatever it's doing in terms of a loop and then go to the next thing. Now, I think I'm wrong about that because in terms of like what I've coded before, that hasn't been true. So what we'll do is we'll keep it in my, I'll think of it as async. And Richard, if you have like an article or anything like that refutes what I'm saying, please post it in the chat so other people can read it, and I can read it myself and just be totally sure about it. The reason why I say that is because I remember reading somewhere the difference between client-side JavaScript and then back-end Node.js type JavaScript, and how, of course, Node.js is non-blocking, it's asynchronous, but client-side JavaScript doesn't always share the same properties in terms of the way you define things and how everything is computed, or how it's not computed. What is the word? How it is interpreted. So that's kind of where like my confusion is. I read that somewhere, and it's on the internet, so I totally believe it. Don't judge me. But yeah, if you find anything, Richard, please put it in. If anything, we'll do it at the end of the stream, and I'll look it up just to make sure. You know, like maybe like client-side JavaScript versus back-end JavaScript or something like that. So that'll be a good thing, so that we can all learn on that, and that can be great. I will have to look because I've been what's it called. I will have to look because I've been mostly just dealing with Node. Front end might be different. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like front end actually might be different. But yeah, if you find a good article on that, that would be great, bro. Sorry to send you out on a mission, but it's for the rest of the group. It's for the good of the group. All right. So thanks for looking for that, bro. All right. So this right here, what we're gonna do is I want to dump everything, the competencies div. I want to dump the child node. So if I do console.log, and you can access these things, like you can access the parent node and then the child node. And then when you access a child node, you can actually iterate through that child node if you ever wanted to as well. Or you can do a query selector within that child node, which actually might be better. But I'll probably do the query selector, but I do want to check out child node here. So we're just going to console log that child node, and I'll mess up the format, or mess up the indentation here on purpose, on purpose. So let's do this. Undefined. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and look for that. Oof, that is a crazy picture. Child node. Yes, child node. Child nodes. Child nodes. Okay, hold on. Nodes, plural. Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, cool. So it's node with an S. All right, so with the child nodes, then I can actually look at all the different nodes in here. We have a couple text nodes, and then we have this here. So we have owl and owl stage outer, and then dot owl height. So what we're gonna do is the div for owl stage outer, we're gonna make a change to that. But I'm not gonna do the child node way, but just know that that's there. Let's actually read that definition for you guys and read it into the record here, as BGS would say. The child nodes property returns a collection of nodes, child nodes, or of a node's child node. So in this case, you can say element in this case, but it's known as a node. As a node list object. With it being a node list object, by the way, you can, in some cases, you can iterate through it like it's an array. So that's one thing. So you can start doing things like for each functions or do for loops that will iterate through it like an array. The nodes in the collection are sorted as they appear in the source code and can be accessed by index numbers. The index starts at 0. So, and again, that just confirms what I was saying about the index, or where it says index starts at 0. Or it can actually be accessed by an index number. So it treats it like it's an array when you access it. Now, with that being said, we may not know where this is always going to show up. For instance, I may not know that it's going to be at position 5 every single time if I look at console. So, or position 6, really, because it starts at 0, right? So I may not know that it's going to be at position 6 every time. Maybe you add something else into this at the top. But I want to make sure that I always get to this right here. So what I'll use in this case is, if I inspect this, I will use owl stage. I will use this right here. So I'm going to select the div that has a class of owl stage outer and owl height, right? And then I'm going to change that height of that item. So let's go ahead and write code for that. So console competencies div, we already have that. We're going to look through this div only. If we wanted to, we can actually use document.querySelectorAll. But in this case, I'm going to use query selector, and I can use it on just an actual div or an item. So query selector, and then I'm going to do the first one. So all I need to do is .querySelector. And in this case, I should be able to do two things. So, and if I wanted to do query selector, and then I wanted to hit where it's a specific a specific div that has two classes. So that pretty much makes sure that I am not doing things like getting the wrong div. I'm being a little bit more specific, and I'm targeting a certain div, and that div should have owl-stage outer owl-height. So I should be able to get this here. Let's see if I did that wrong. Console 5. Oh, that is null. All right, so query selector 2 divs. So in this case, selectors. So this is if I was doing an ID. Does not match. Match the second div. Okay, my class. So div.userPanel.main. All right, so it's the type of div or the element, and then that div has this class, but I want to have it to where it has multiple. Okay, oh, Richard Dixon found something for us. JavaScript code that does not use any asynchronous web APIs will execute in a synchronous manner, one at a time sequentially. Yeah, so I want to see if there's something else to that. Let's figure this out and let's write this code, and then we can just look that up here real quick after the fact. But I think there's a little bit more to it than that, somewhat. So user panel, whose class is user panel main. Div class. Oh. Okay, so we can do two things. Oh, and that makes sense because a moment ago when we saw, if I back out of this here, child nodes, and where is it? There we go. So one thing we did see here when we ran this node list, we see that it says div.owl outer state stage outer owl height. So this is how we access two divs or have a more specific or targeted attack or a targeted targeting targeting a div that has two classes to be more specific. And I probably didn't say that right. So we'll back into this here and go like that. And I think that should be it. And then we should have I think I just did something. Oh man, I just did something. Crap, that's gonna suck. All right, I did something with Nano here, and I don't know how to unselect it, undo it. All right, that's fine. It's not. I don't think it'd be a big deal. Looks like it's just gonna have like tabs and spaces or something like that. So in this case, it's null. So darn. All right, so div my selector class query selector, and then owl-stage height. Should be how we get both of them. I think the quotation marks matter in this case. Oh, wow. So as all CSS selector strings are valid, you can also negate selectors. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. So you can do like a colon not, and then it won't get that. Okay, that's cool. Like when you want to skip something or something like that. That's really cool. That's something to learn right there. Or something that I can learn here. So owl height. You know, we'll just get one selector here. I do want to see how you can do two divs. Actually, yeah, I don't feel like giving up on that. Multiple selectors, focus. Huh. Okay. If you want all elements to match the query, use query selector all, i.e. This returns an array of matched elements. Oh, okay, so you can just do multiple like that. That's pretty cool. I want to say that. That's maybe give like that. All right, let's see if this works. Oh, here we go. Still no. Why is it no? Yeah. Yeah, I want to say like, why is it no? Because is it not? So I think, all right, let's just try with one. I'm thinking like maybe it's like processing it at a different time and it'll show it's no because it doesn't exist. Yeah, you see that? It doesn't, it looks like it doesn't exist. But we're going to do query selector. It's still no. See, it may not actually exist right now. So competencies div. Maybe I'm getting the wrong div here. And this might be something where we have to do like we have to do like a set timeout or something like that, or a on document ready. I don't like doing that so much though, because I don't want to do like a set timeout and then it actually takes longer. JavaScript is event driven, so you want to do it based off of events. So if something is ready or available, then go ahead and do it. If I do a set timeout or a set interval, or something, yeah, probably like a set interval, then the set interval might be better, because with the set interval, what I can do is do something like, once this is ready, do this, go ahead and go from there. We're getting a little bit longer. We're taking a little bit too long on this, or I'm taking a little bit too long on this, because I did want to get to the education portion of the page. So might have another stream. I'll probably do something maybe tomorrow, just so we can finish this and get this like really finished. But I do want to go through this here and get this right. All right, so competencies div dot query selector and child nodes. Huh. All right, well, let's do this. I can't figure it out this way, right? But I know child nodes shows me something. So what if I did child nodes and did a for each on each one of those child nodes? Yeah, I did a for each on one of the child nodes, and I'll iterate through it like it's a hot knife through butter. I mean, iterate through it like it's an array, and then I can do console.log, and then I can get each one of those child nodes. Let's just say e dot. How does that look? Yeah, I don't have it. All right, cool. So the child nodes, I can do e dot what? Yeah, let's just do e for now, and then we'll see how that looks. So in this case, we don't need to view it, so we'll just do this. All right, so we have a text node, we have testimonial, text node, about me, really, about me. Okay, element sibling, text, next element sibling, next element sibling, and all these text nodes. Why is the text nodes always showing? That's weird. That's a little bit confusing to me, I'm not gonna lie. Parent element, parent node. So I'm going through this child node, child nodes, next element sibling, next element sibling. Ow. So how can I want to do the element itself. I have a whole bunch of text nodes. Why is it doing each one of these nodes? Oh, I kind of see why. Competency logo. No, that's fine. That's fine. No, that's not the problem. Yes, I should have 4 of these. The only thing is this text node, next element sibling. I want to target this one here. Right. And then it has all the items within it. 2, 3, 4. I want to target this one here, and I don't know what that is over here. So next element sibling, I don't know. Style, I can iterate through all of these. Even if I look at the style map here, let's look for S because I should be able to get to the style property itself. Yeah, here we go. And then we can see your height, or see height in this case. Height 269 pixels. So we can go through each one of these and I don't know, we can like do it won't be as elegant, but like, so if we could do this, we can do console.e and then .style, right? And then I can do .height. Richard Dixon says, I am garbage when it comes to front end. I got to force myself to do it because I want to build a portfolio site. I feel I am coming along slowly but surely with Node, though. Yeah, I'm garbage at front end, too, to a certain extent. Like, I've gotten better with it. But honestly, I like back end. Back end is more beautiful to me. Back end is kind of what I want. Back end is what I really want to, quote unquote, show off and things like that. But yeah, front end, like, I'm not a front end person either, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Give me a second. Gotta send a message. One moment. All right, cool. Sorry. All right, so we can console log each element's style, and because it gives us pretty much a JSON object, and then within that JSON object, we can probably access our style. Doesn't look like I'm right on that though. Child nodes. Next sibling text, child nodes. Where is it? E.style. Yeah, oh, Jesus, this is so annoying. Child nodes. The node itself should give me something. Man. All right. How can I figure this out here? So this is sometimes the hard part, right? Like there's so many ways you can attack this, but it's like even the way that I try to attack it, it's not giving me what I expect, right? So it's like, okay, well, all right, what did I do wrong here? If I go here, in fact, I'll just comment this line out, and then console log child nodes, and go ahead and F5 that. So I have my node list. My node list has all these different text nodes, and I can say this right here, console, this right here is the one that I want. So if I iterate through this, let's see if it has a style, right? It has a style. So then I can do style.height. Actually, let's see if I can iterate, if I can get like an actual name on this, it would be nice. Last child is owl stage. First child is owl stage, owl stage. Let's see if we can get a name for it for itself. So our class list, child nodes, and then, okay, so then I can do class list. Not that I want to do this, right? But I mean, we ain't got all night, baby. All right, so 3. All right, cool. Cool. So undefined. I have no. Oh, okay, so. Oh God. The joys of front-end coding. I'm doing this wrong, and I don't know exactly where. So testimonial. But if I have all my text nodes, So let's look at how to get class list of a text node, because I can't do my style on this text node. I can't do a class list on these text nodes. And these text nodes is where I actually have where I need to target. So, all right, JS target text node of these. That's fan service for some anime right there. Create text nodes, how to get the text node of an element, text, title, contents, filter function, return, node type equals text node. I'm not using jQuery here. Document, get element by ID, child nodes, that length. So, oh, okay, cool, this is nice. So current node, child nodes I, node name, equals text, first text, current node value. So it would be, if I was to translate this into what we're doing, because since we're using a for each, it'll mimic this, because this is just doing it as a for loop. But then if node name equals text node, so I can get the node name. So yeah, console log node name, right? And then, all right, cool. So I can get the node name, and that is, the other one is a div, or all the others are divs. And then node value. So I should be able to get to node value. So value, and I don't know if this will actually do anything for us. Yeah, nothing. Absolutely freaking nothing. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So if you go back to the drawing board here, get rid of these lines here, competencies div, and then I can do, so we tried query selector. And then what I'm going to do here is, all right, competencies, testimonials, competencies. Okay. You can literally cycle through every single one of these and then just set the height to auto. But that would be a hammer. And I don't want to be a hammer with this. I want to be a little bit more precise. I want to be a scalpel. This would have been wrong anyway, because we got to do a class. If you want to do a class, you do a dot. If you want to do an anchor tag, you do, or anchor ID, you would just do a hashtag or £. Or if you want to do an element, you would just do the type of element. So if it's like a div or a paragraph or something like that for P or I, or something like that, you just do that. You just do that, the element's name. Or even if it's the body, you can do that as well. All right, so in this case, nothing. Oh man. Query selector, stage outer. Yeah, I don't know. I'm almost thinking it's like it's not available yet. When I'm looking at this, like I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, why doesn't this show up? Is it not available? Competencies. I'm getting the right div. Nodes. Literally, yes, you can't do that. Div class, because it does it automatically here. It automatically sets the width. Oof. Funny. All right. Div class, stage outer style height. Hold on. I want to see. Yeah, let's see something here. I have a feeling that I don't have access to this thing yet. So in terms of our front end code here, if I just do this and then I do query, and I might do like ready state, so I have to look up the code for that. Query selector, and then we're gonna do let's just copy and paste it. We can do this after the fact too, like once the actual DOM is ready. But I want to see how this works. I just have a feeling about this. Get test equal console dialog. I think it'll be the same thing. Test. All right, so console log. Okay. Vanilla.js ready state. Oh, that's a pretty cool picture. Vanilla.js ready state. Spell Vanilla.js right. Document ready state. Case loading, interactive. The document is still loading. The document has finished loading. We can now access the DOM elements, but sub-resources such as scripts, images, styles, and frames are still loading. Case complete. The page is fully loaded. All right, cool. So we'll do switch document ready state. We'll do something like this. Yeah, I don't know if this has any code that makes it wait. Though. Yeah, this doesn't have any code to make it actually wait. So ready state is an alternative to load event as an alternative to load event. On ready state change. On ready state. Okay, there we go. Alternative to load event. Alternative to DOM content loading event. Ready state change is an event listener to insert or modify the DOM before the DOM content loaded. All right, so add event listener, ready state change event, and then if event.target.ready state. Okay, cool. So we want to do this one. And the reason I chose this one is because this actually monitors the DOM and sees if it's ready or not, as opposed to the other one where it just wasn't going to do that. It's just going to run it once and then not really care after that first run. We want to make sure that we have an event listener. You can do this a couple different ways. You can even do like document.ready state change or something like that, as it was shown earlier. But interactive, we don't want that. We want this one. And we want to run where is it? We want to run the query selector for this. That test equals. And then with that, event listener, complete competencies, let test, and then we'll do, since we do test, now I can do a query. I could just be totally barking up the wrong tree here, but query selector, and then with the query selector, I'm going to do, where is it? Sources. Let's see if this just outputs what we expected to. All right, cool. Yeah, it should be good. Let's see here. Haha! Gotcha, bitch. So, all right. So this is what happens, and this is why I was like I thought I was barking up the wrong tree, but I was just like, no, this should work. What happens is the page doesn't have this at load, right? Like it doesn't have the owl-stage, whatever, and all the height and stuff like that. It doesn't have that at load. It's actually injected at some point in the it's actually injected into the document itself, right? So it's like, okay, well, we have to wait for the document to fully load and become complete or interactive, meaning all JavaScript is ran or any other code is ran. If we got to a state where that actual element actually exists. Before, that element does not exist. And that's why it was weird, but even with the child nodes, that it was actually showing up. And I'm like, okay, why is it showing up with the child nodes? After I've run my for each function that's in my my fill resume, but it doesn't show up in it doesn't show up when I try to access it or do anything and try to manipulate that bit of information for that element itself. So it's just like, what the fudge? This is BS. Like, get this stuff out of here, right? So the reason for that is because it just doesn't exist, and we have to wait for the document to be fully loaded and manipulated. We have to wait for it to be fully loaded and manipulated. So now I can actually do this here, and it should also bring up the same thing. But waits, and then, yeah, there you go. Cool. So then I could be a little bit more targeted with what I got to do here. So owl div, and with the owl div, I want to do all that owl div, right? Query selector. Yeah, we'll just do this here. I'll do, yeah, there we go. We'll do this target owl div, and we'll do, there we go, query selector. So we'll just make that a little bit longer there, instead of like just doing, define the document element by ID and then make another variable for the query selector. I'll just do it all in one. So we'll just do our target owl div, and then now I can go this target owl div, and with it being a target owl div, now I can do dot style, dot height equals auto. All that, just so I can do that, right? All right, cool. So that's done. Let's see if it actually works. All right. And sometimes that's just what happens with coding. I've said this before, like, you get into this, man, and there'd be just some times where you're just going to be dealing with a whole bunch of bullshit. So that was one of the times where you're dealing with a whole bunch of bullshit. But you kind of got to know, like, I find these things out over time, and I'm like, yo, why can't I access this? I know it's there, but it's not there when I want it to be there, or it's not there when my code actually executes. And with that being said, like, with that being done like that, it's like, okay, if it's not there when it executes, when is it going to be there? And then you start to learn about document ready states. So this is a good article here. Let's go ahead and put that from the Mozilla document library there, or document network. So guys, definitely go ahead and look at that and understand ready states a little bit better when you do stuff like that, because then you can actually have, now we're using event listeners. And I know, Richard Dixon, we were talking about that in the work that we were doing together at one point, where you were actually using event listeners and using emitting event listeners, and emitting events and listening for events. So you can emit an event or you can listen to an event, as I know of it. And then, you have like different events, like on click, on hover, so on and so forth. So in this case, we made an event listener for the actual document. And then when the document has a state of, or we're going to monitor its ready state change. And that's an actual property of that document. And then once it actually, and then we have an arrow function, or that takes a function. So it takes what property we're looking at, and then a function to act on that property. And then we'll pass it as event, and then event.target ready state, and then make sure it looks for complete, or make sure that it is complete before we actually do things like our initialize our app or init loader. So in this case, we're just going to run our own code, which is targeting the style and height of this query select, or of this div. All right, so let's go ahead and all that explanation and see if it actually works. It doesn't. Still, it worked. Yes. Cool. Yeah, so it worked. That's awesome. All right. I did want to do something else, but what I'll probably do is another stream. I am gonna kill this for tonight, guys, because I got some other stuff I want to get done around the house here, and I don't want to work too hard tomorrow before I go in for my night job. So they got me working like a 12-hour shift, and I'm not too happy about that. But you know, at the end of the day, I wanted a job, so I'm happy about the job part. And I'm out here buying stuff like crazy, so I'm able to do things that I wasn't able to do before. So take the good with the bad, and it's mostly good, baby. So yeah, with that being said, one thing we will do is first go ahead and get our resume, our education resume subpage here. And we're going to resume subpage. Should be a class, resume subpage. I think ID resume. Yeah, it's there. The only thing I took out were the navigation for it. Okay, cool. So let's take pound resume, and then I did a D none on this. So let's put that back in there. And this is what I'll work on tomorrow to get this working. Then there was another thing here. It's like a nav item. Let me just look for everything I put D none on. And we'll add this back. Here we go. This is the one we need. But I could get rid of it per se, because it was causing all types of other stuff, issues with JavaScript with the code here. So I got rid of the thing that allows you to cycle through it, so that you just can't cycle through it and find it. And then I got rid of the item here. So let's go ahead and refresh this. Right. So now if I wanted to, like, it was always there and accessible. But let's go here. And now I should be able to get to my resume like I did before. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill in all these other things here. So the design skills and competencies and stuff like that. What I'll probably do is try and code some of this stuff tonight after I'm done with some house cleaning stuff. So I'll have to get my wash. I have to start cleaning some clothes here. And I don't like to run that while I'm running the stream because all the background noise. But yeah, I might get to this and actually put this together here. But for the most part, we got our homepage, of course, done. We got that done a while back. We have our About Me section done. And we also added an option to where we can turn some of this stuff on and off. So if I wanted to, I can go back to my fancy JavaScript here and resume pricing. I can turn this off, right? So if I refresh that, you won't see pricing anymore. Cool. So that's there. What I am seeing also is that like now I have this big space here, and that's because of the auto. Like no doubt that's because of the auto. But the thing is it bad enough to where I have to fix it? No, I'm not fixing that. That's fine. That's totally fine. All right, so we go back to here, and this is the only last page that we have to fill out. We did this for our GitHub, so especially for somebody like Mr. Dixon, who doesn't like all his, he has to do his front end, but he wants to show off all of the back end work that he's been doing. This would be good. You have your GitHub, and then you can put in your actual, your GitHub username and stuff like that. In fact, that would be a good thing to put in there. So we see this here. Let's do, that's a template literal. So let's do resume config. GitHub. And then we'll put username, and then we'll just have the person's username here. Yeah, that looks good. And yeah, resume config. and that, and then take that, and then go one step back. There we go. All right, cool. So this way we can actually put this in our config file and then have it look for our repos. So that'd be cool. So resume config or resume.config, and that way it's usable by multiple people. You all post in design. What? href. Okay, view all post in design. Okay, I don't know what happened here. Yeah, this is kind of weird. So, actually, this is not kind of weird, but I understand there's something that's missing here. Yeah, there's something that's missing there. But anyways, they should still show up properly. All right, great. And yeah, there's no errors in our backend JavaScript there. All right, cool. Yeah, so this will be a little bit of a shorter stream than usual, but yeah, now we just made that to where you can actually add that as a configurable item here, so you guys can actually put in your GitHub usernames as needed or as you wish there without having to change too much else. So that's a nice thing to have. Yeah, I can do some other stuff here too. Oof, like this iframe for the resume map. I could probably do some other stuff there too, but yeah. Anyways, that's it for tonight. Guys, as always, thanks for listening. Those that are watching the playback, I appreciate you so much. Those that are watching it live, I appreciate you as well. Guys, if there's anything that you want in terms of coding examples or anything like that, please let me know, and I can devote some time to the stream. Partially, this is for me as well, because then this helps me out. But it's also for you guys as well, because I want you guys to be interactive. I want you guys to interact with this, because I want you to get some value out of it. There's no point in just watching somebody rambling and talking about coding and stuff like that and making mistakes if you can't get any type of benefit out of it, or for your own selfish reasons. Okay, so be selfish, ask me questions, and use me, and that helps me as well. Alrighty, and guys, thanks for that. And what I'll do is I'll look up that thing that I was talking about, that Mr. Dixon just looked up, but the difference between front-side JavaScript and back-end JavaScript. But I think what he has there is on point. I swear there's something else about it. I'm trying to just figure that out. But as always, guys, do your research. If you're not taking what I say with a grain of salt and you're low on sodium, make sure you do your research. Look into these things. Explore a little bit more, and then go from there. All right? Peace, guys.